Welcome back, everybody. It's Paul.
And Steve. Welcome to Steve and Paul Discuss It All.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it rhymes. I'm a sucker for a good rhyme.
It does. You did a great job with it.
Well, thank you. It's nice you say so. All right. So, like the title implies, we are here to discuss it all. Today we have a topic, but before we get to that, I would love it if you guys have something that you are thinking of that you would like us to discuss. Please leave a comment down below and let us know. Something for you to be thinking about while we talk about the 5 best songs from 1984. Possibly the greatest year in music.
Without a doubt. It's in every genre as well. There was hit after hit after hit after hit.
There was. It was amazing because I went back just to kind of look at, like, okay, what was out in 1984? Because it blends together, like, okay, was it 83?
Right.
85?
That's right.
And yeah, I mean, there was everybody. The Thriller was still on the charts for Michael Jackson. Prince's Purple Rain album was hitting, which had like 5 or 6 hits on it. You had a lot of the up-and-coming hard rock / heavy metal acts. Had great songs. Duran Duran, Madonna.
I know. Yeah, George Michael.
And Wham was.
That's exactly right. Yes.
So yeah.
Culture Club. I mean, it's just you just go on and on and on and on in genre after genre.
Yeah. So the way that I approach this, and I think you said that you did the same thing. Now we don't know what songs we picked. We never discussed that beforehand. But luckily, we both kind of approached this the same way as thinking about these were the favorite songs that we had back in 1984. Now I would have been 10 years old, and Steve would have been 13. So right there in that sweet spot of childhood, kind of coming of age. So all right.
And I tell you, every day of the summer of 1984, virtually every day, maybe not literally every day, but virtually every day of that summer, I spent with my friends at Blake G's house, sitting on the green, electrical box with the jam box, listening to cassette tapes. And it was either you just listened to the whole album or the mixtape that you had made from the Casey Kasem Top 40 when you'd heard it on the weekend. And we just hung out. That was what the summer of 1984. I think about the summer of '69, but the summer of '84 for me was nothing but hanging out in the front yard with my friends listening to music.
That's awesome. And you mentioned like the mixtape and the jam box. There was just something magical. Now we're talking about cassette tapes, but there was something magical when your favorite song came on the radio. Yeah. Like not a tape, not record, anything, but like the DJ was playing. The DJ picked your song. Yeah, it just sounded better.
Always sounded better.
Just awesome.
And if you were making your mixtape, you wanted to wait until the DJ stopped talking, so you didn't have to listen to his voice or her voice before you pushed record to swipe the song off of the radio.
Yeah, and sometimes there were songs with like a long intro, and the DJ just had no problem just talking right over that. Not talking through.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah. All right. So 5 songs from 1980, and we easily could do another list of 5 more songs from 1980.
Absolutely, you could do 5 great songs from Purple Rain, or just several of the albums. You could do. It was a great year for music.
It was. Okay, so who's going first?
So I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm going first. So we mentioned Prince and Purple Rain, which is itself a great song. But in my list of top 5 from 1984, my favorite song, and it really was, I think, that summer, my absolute favorite song was When Doves Cry from that album. Now, my wife hates that song.
Okay.
So if I put it on, or it comes on my Spotify playlist, because Spotify, by some act of voodoo, knows exactly what you want to listen to. Mm-hmm. If it comes on in the car, she hates it. Absolutely hates it. But she puts up with it and listens to it because she loves me. Because it was my favorite song in 1984.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doves Cry by Prince, right there on Purple Rain.
Okay, so great song. So it's funny because Prince was not like my favorite artist in 1984. Now I did like Let's Go Crazy.
Yeah.
That was going, and I can't remember if Delirious was on Purple Rain or not. That's another great Prince song. Yeah. Nowadays, I love the entire Purple Rain album, and Doves Cry is a great song.
Yeah.
But it's funny in '84, like when Prince would come on, kind of like
it's to each his own, right? At the time.
I think it was just the age difference. I honestly think it was the age difference.
Yeah, you've grown into it now.
Yeah, I have. All right, so we talked about like making that mixtape off of the radio. So this had the opposite problem. If you were trying to make a mixtape, you need to be quick on the draw for this one to get the intro. It's "Oh Sherry" by Steve Perry. That rhymes too.
There you go.
So Steve Perry was the iconic lead singer from Journey. Decided to go off and do a solo project, which really upset the rest of the band, and rightly so.
And the rest of the world. Yeah.
And the rest of the world. And rightly so. It's neat because I've had a chance to watch interviews about that, and they're like, you basically went off and you made a song that you could have made with Journey.
Yeah.
You didn't make a difference.
No, that's right. Exactly right.
But anyway, "Oh Sherry" was a song that just kind of exploded from the radio just because of his voice, I think.
Yeah.
The way they did that. And yeah, if you were not quick on the draw, you missed that opening note.
Yeah. No, that's right. And I even heard someone say the other day, they said, "Oh, I love that Journey song, Oh Sherry." His voice is just so associated with Journey. And I read somewhere one time that Journey kind of predated Steve Perry, and when they got ready to get a new lead singer, and they were these kind of hard rockers, and he applied or auditioned, I should say, and there was some debate over whether or not, because he was this crooner, and but boy, he made Journey, no doubt.
Yeah.
Great voice.
That's going to have to be a list that we do. 5 band lineup changes that made the band better,
Right.
or bigger, or whatever. So we're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah, we'll do that.
That'll
for
be
sure.
great.
Yeah.
All right, so "Oh Sherry" is going to be my song. Now, just so you guys know, these are in no particular order.
No particular order.
Yeah.
No particular order.
So, all right.
Which is correct. No doubt about it. So, my second one from one of my favorite bands of all times. Every album that came out, got a cassette tape, listened over and over and over until they didn't work anymore. And in 1984, it was 1984 by Van Halen. And so there are several great songs that are off of that album, but Jump is one of my favorite songs from 1984. I remember the video on MTV, and that voice, again, like Steve Perry with Journey, David Lee Roth, his voice is just Van Halen for me.
That's another one. The DJ had no problem talking over that intro. And I didn't understand because that was just so cool.
It was classic. Eddie Van Halen on the keys.
There was nothing that sounded like it at the time. And yeah, it's just an iconic song. That's a song that's used all over the place. Now, opened up in Ready Player One.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Yes.
So yeah. There could have been 3 or 4 songs off of 1984, and I nearly picked some. But "Jump" was a great song.
Yeah.
Nowadays, Panama. I like Panama.
And I do too. And it is, when my 1980s playlist, Panama shows up more often than Jump does.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned MTV, and that's important because when I get to my number 1 song, MTV is going to play a big part. Did you have MTV in your house, or was that just like, you knew it was out there?
No, we did have MTV. I don't think at the beginning of 1984. I'm trying to remember, in our neighborhood, when cable showed up in our neighborhood, the end of the street got it first. And we had friends down there, excuse me. And so we were able to go down to their house and watch MTV before it ever got down to ours. But somewhere in that range, in that 83, 84 period, we got cable. And so before then it was Friday night videos.
Yeah.
So you only got a little bit. But I think by the summer of '84 we were watching MTV full time.
So in '84 I was dealing with the same issue you were. I had a friend who had cable, and so whenever I'd have a sleepover at his house, we would watch MTV. But we didn't have it at my house, and I had the same thing. It was like Friday night video, or there was something that came on like at the 5:30 time slot. It was a half-an-hour show, and they'd play like 10 videos, but only snippets of it. So you never get the beginning, never get the end. Like whatever probably the licensing agreement was.
That's right.
So, but that's going to be important later on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So a favorite band of mine was big on MTV, but this is not why I like this song. It was just the way it sounded. Another just iconic sounding band is the Cars.
Oh yeah.
And my favorite from them was "You Might Think."
No, that's it.
That was just such a cool song, and it was just all over the radio, probably MTV too. I did see the video a lot, and that kind of had some cool graphics and things happening in that. And that's a song that's on my playlist now today.
Yeah, no, love that song. Love the Cars. Love that song. It's great.
Yeah, probably today, my Magic would be a more favorite song of mine from them from that same time. But you might think in 1984,
Sure.
when I was that age, was
Iconic. In a lot of ways, it represents 1984. I mean, the sound, the video, even the lyrics just scream 1984.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's great. Drive is another great one from that album, and
that was a bit. I don't think I had the attention for like those slower songs then.
Yeah.
I wasn't slow dance with any girls that.
Couple skate, Fun Time Skate Land.
Yeah, I mean, I still thought girls had cooties in it, so
that's right. Yeah, well, you were 9, so
10.
But yeah. Different. That's great.
Yeah.
A great album too, and certainly a great song.
That's great.
So I'm going to go with a big band of the day that at the time I just remember listening not only to them but to this song over and over again, and that is Duran Duran, The Reflex.
Okay.
The Reflex.
Yep.
Now there were a lot of songs in '84 from Duran Duran that were good.
Yeah.
But The Reflex is the one, just that, kind of the driving keys and kind of an iconic 80s sound to it.
Yeah, Duran Duran is one of those bands that like just lives in the 80s. Like whenever you hear one of their songs, like
that's right.
We're in the 80s. We're back there, and they were a great band.
Yeah,
I mean they really were.
I think every time that I went to merry-go-round to try to get some parachute pants or something like that, I wanted to be Duran Duran.
Oh, who did?
Who did?
Yeah, I mean I didn't know in '84, but by '87, all the girls had their pictures all over,
exactly.
their binders and lockers and everything. Yeah, definitely. And it's neat because they were really pioneers of the video.
Yeah.
With just a lot of the things that they did, almost making like mini movies.
Mm-hmm.
Video would look totally different without them, I don't think.
Yeah.
So that's a great song. It's neat when you're telling me the song, I'm like thinking, who's it going to be? Because we don't know.
I know. Yeah.
And there's a band that I want to mention that was absent from '84, but was a huge band in the '80s, which is Huey Lewis and the News.
Oh yeah.
Like they were between albums in '84, but they were just massive.
Yeah, they were.
And one of my favorite bands from.
That's right. Well, in 1985, they were in Back to the Future.
Yeah. I think 1985 had the album 4, and '83 had Sports. Okay, so all right, this is the band, the Thompson Twins.
Oh right. Yeah.
And Doctor.
Doctor. Oh.
So it's just one of those like new wave songs.
Yeah.
I think that would be the genre, new wave.
That's right.
Maybe the New Romantics. I don't know. But the Thompson Twins just had this cool sound, and I remember, at the time, around this time, I was in gymnastics, and that was just kind of my thing. And on Friday night, they had like this open, it was just open gymnastics where they had trampolines, no nets.
No, of course not.
No
that
spot,
would have made way too much sense.
Nothing. Just go in there and flip all around. And they actually had taken an in-ground pool at the rec center that they weren't using anymore, and they couldn't upkeep, and they had emptied it of water and filled it with foam, and then put up trampolines on it so you could go bouncing into the deep end filled with foam, or there was balance beams. It was great.
That's fast.
And they blasted all this music, and I can always remember the Thompson Twins playing when I was there.
Yeah.
It just had the sound, whenever I hear it, it just takes me right back to that.
Yeah.
Which, you talk about hanging out with your friends, for me, it was just one of those magical times.
Yeah.
So that's on my list.
Well, and that's a great one, and it really does represent that new wave. 84 is this crossroads in genres where you could go from on the radio. You could go from the Thompson Twins to Van Halen to Quiet Riot. Quiet Riot was released, so you get Metal Health and Come On Feel the Noise, and that all of that going on in the same year on the same pop stations. And it was a classic year, and again, like you mentioned before, Thriller continuing. So, for me, 1984 did represent some of these the hard rock. The Scorpions and others that came out. That again, when I was thinking through what are 5 songs, I couldn't even pick 5 bands, much less 5 songs. But there's also, and he's back around now, but had so many hits in 1984, and I remember there were a number of them that I liked, and one in particular that stood out was "All Night Long" by Lionel Richie.
Oh yeah,
just a good dance song.
Yep.
It was a good skating rink song. Just all night long. You know, you had "Hello" on that album, and some other really good stuff. I remember the video of "Hello" and.
Which is creepy.
Yeah, a little freaked out by that now, but at the time it was just a little strange. Now it is kind of creepy, but all night long, or dancing on the ceiling, but all night long really stood out.
So those were cool because they were transcendent songs, which were great for me at least, because whenever I was riding in the car, I was able to kind of do the radio, and my mom would put up with that a little bit, and. Whenever Lionel Richie, Billy Joel, whenever they would come on, it didn't matter if it was new songs, old songs, whatever, she loved those too.
Oh, yeah.
Like everybody just loved those songs, every age group.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like so many of these things that we're talking about, you're talking about being a crossroads of music, 1984, which I totally agree with. The great thing about being the age that I was then was I didn't have to be allegiant to one set of music.
Right.
By the time I was in high school, at least this was the way it was for me. Like I felt like I had to be like loyal to one set of music to the exclusion of like a lot of other things, because those things weren't cool.
Yeah.
So like for me, it was like hard rock and metal in high school, which then made the up and coming like hip hop and rap and stuff not cool. And when I look back now, a lot of it's really awesome.
Yeah, sure, that's right.
And I really was missing out by being a lot more closed minded.
Yeah. Back
then. But when I was 10, I didn't care about any of that.
Didn't care about any of it. You could go from Run DMC to Motley Crue. To Lionel Richie.
Yeah, and Lionel Richie. Yeah, it was all on the same page.
That's right. They all just kind of fit.
Yeah, and that was just something that was cool about being that age at that time.
Now, did you listen to any country music at that time?
Only when I was riding somewhere with my dad in the pickup, literally in the pickup truck.
Okay.
Because he wouldn't let me mess with the radio.
Right. So you were listening to his George Strait or whatever it was going to be.
He was listening to like Willie Nelson and Earl Haggard. He was listening to like old stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, you don't even like this stuff. But we had
It's the only time there were, the few crossovers with Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton or whatever. But outside of that, unless I was riding with my aunt and uncle that were country music people, and that's all, their radio didn't pick up any other stations besides country music stations. In the pickup truck with like 7 of us in the front seat. But.
Yeah, and there's some country songs from them that I do like. Like Kenny Rogers had "Coward of the County" and "The Gambler," which of course. Of course. Willie Nelson had "Poncho and Lefty," Earl Haggard, which is great.
Yeah.
Story songs. That's another list we're gonna have to.
That's right. We'll have to do that.
Can't pick those 3. So yeah, country just wasn't a thing. Like there wasn't this like new wave of country that we've had. Well, now for about 20 years.
Yeah, sure.
Time flies.
Not new anymore.
Yeah, but it had like Toby Keith. Like Toby Keith been doing what he was doing in his career back, and I would love that.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. But that really, that almost has the sound of like pop music did back then.
No, that's right, and I think that's from what if social media is telling the truth, and I doubt it ever is, but if social media is telling the truth, that's even a debate with those who are the true country music people. And what made me think of it was you saying you didn't have an allegiance to just one. All I can do is listen to AC/DC, and I can't listen to Lionel Richie as well. In the 80s, you could do that.
Yeah.
And you were okay with it. But yeah, I think some of the debate in country music, real country music fans, some of this other isn't country. But
yeah.
All right. So is this number 5 for me?
No.
Or is this you?
Okay, it's me. Okay, because you just did one on Richie.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
right. All right. So this might be a cheesy one, but this guy was huge in the early '80s, and he actually had a movie. Rick Springfield.
Yes.
And I'm gonna pick "Love Somebody." That to me was just a great song. I love that song. I really like Jesse's Girl, which to me is like the ultimate wedding song.
Of course. My goodness.
Tim Hawkins says that routine song.
Yeah.
But yeah, "Love Somebody" was just a cool song at the time. And I like Rick Springfield. He had this way of writing hooks in songs that were just good. They're just good, fun pop songs. And for me, that was the song that grabbed me by him.
Yeah.
Now, probably I like Jesse's Girl a little bit better.
Sure.
But Love Somebody is one of those songs that if so I don't use Spotify, I'm just like behind the times, and I couldn't plug my iPhone into the car, but I prefer to see what the radio is going to give me.
Okay.
And Love Somebody is one of those songs. If I'm on the 80s channel, and that comes on, the channel's not getting changed.
That's right. It's staying there. Yeah.
It's staying there.
And Rick Springfield, he so many of his songs have that feel to it.
Yeah.
And I remember in 1984, I saw Rick Springfield in concert with Corey Hart. So those Sunglasses at Night
and Never Surrender.
Yeah, that's right. Never Surrender. And then, of course, with Rick Springfield, Bop Do You Drop, which was one of the, at the time, I think if I had a favorite Rick Springfield song at the time, it was Bop Do You Drop.
Okay.
But yeah, loved at the time and still love Rick Springfield.
Yeah.
And you got to love somebody. And, it's he just had that. He had everything. That was 1980s. He had the look.
Mm-hmm.
He had, the apparel. I mean, everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
now I think he came out of a soap opera.
General Hospital,
That's
I think,
right,
or
that's
something
right.
like that. Not that I know of.
I remember my mom knew that.
That's right. Yeah.
Because that was the thing.
Wouldn't he Dr. So-and-so?
Yeah. Because my mom had her stories.
Yeah,
That's what they were calling it. Everybody had to be quiet in the house.
That's right. Don't make any noise. You go outside. Go
Yeah,
play outside. You
yeah.
can't come in the house.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So that's my number 4 pick in no particular order.
Okay.
So all right.
So my number 5 pick, it may be a little bit cheesy as well, but is probably my number 1 song from 1984.
Okay.
And would be probably one of my top 5 songs of all times.
Okay.
And who is probably my number 1 band of all times. And this goes back to my dad introducing me to this band. And I fell in love with them. And maybe because I listened to them all the time. And there were a number of bands my dad listened to all the time. Fleetwood Mac was one. The Eagles were another. And, Fleetwood Mac and the Eagles certainly in my top 5 of bands. Along with like a Leonard Skinner and some of those. But I think my number 1 band of all time is Chicago.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, saw Chicago in concert with Earth, Wind and Fire. And it was a great show.
Yeah.
They were on, for many of the songs, they were on the stage together. So it was like 400 people up there on stage. It was incredible. I loved especially this album. So Chicago 17 came out in 1984. And in some ways, Chicago 17 represented them getting back to what they were before. The big brass, it was classic. And so Hard Habit to Break by Chicago in 1984. Peter Cetera, his voice is classic Chicago. Also, 1984, I was going into the 9th grade that year and had a teacher and a coach in 9th grade who was also a huge Chicago fan. So oftentimes we talked Chicago and we'd listen to music together. Even sometimes I think in class, I think he taught history or something, but we were probably supposed to be doing that and we were listening to Eagles in Chicago and that kind of thing. But the Chicago 17, on the Chicago 17 album, Chicago Hard Habit to Break, just one of my maybe top 5 songs of all time.
That is a great song. And I'm with you. I really like Chicago also. I got introduced to him a little bit later. And I think it's Look Away. Mm-hmm. Which I think was like 88 or 89.
That's right, yeah. I think it was Chicago 21 or something.
But I remember Hard Habit to Break being a huge song in 1984. I did not know who it was by. And if you asked me today, I'm like, well, now I know.
That's right. Now you know.
If you'd asked me 20 minutes ago, I'm like, I got to look that up.
Yeah.
But that is a great song. And Chicago's one of those bands that just has that bigger sound.
That's right.
Another song that, of course, I could listen to around the parents.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Unlike my number 1 song.
Your number, okay, here we go.
So I told you MTV was going to come back into this, and I think in my mind I can't separate this song from the video. And the video, being a 10-year-old boy, was kind of influential in a zany sort of way. And it's "We're Not Gonna Take It" by Twisted Sister. Yeah. And I totally agree with Dee Snider, who was a hideous beast.
That's right. Yes.
On screen at the time by design. Yeah. That it's almost like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah.
that video.
That's right.
I mean, I like just the solid drum beat of that song, the cool guitar sound of it. The lyrics were just a lot of fun. It was almost like this anthemic chant of, we're not going to take it. I had nothing in my life that I wasn't, I was upset about.
No, that's right. You were going to take everything.
Yeah, but I'm walking around like, we're not going to take it. So, but I was also the kid that went to school and told my vice principal that I had rights when he questioned, my lunch choice of 3 bags of potato chips and a chocolate milk. Don't do that. I ended up in the office.
Don't do that.
He didn't say anything. I said, well, what are your rights? I didn't know. I just knew that
I knew I had rights. That's right. I've been listening to that song.
Yeah.
Dee Snider told me I have rights.
Yeah, and I don't have to take it. No, but this was before that.
Yeah. Well, the album cover was so hideous.
Oh yeah.
I had a good friend who had gotten that album, and his dad saw the cassette tape. So got it on the cassette tape.
Yeah.
Saw it. And this was early in 1984, so it must have come out maybe early in January or something, February. So it was early, a little cold. They had a fire in their fireplace, and his dad took that and he saw what the picture on the album, and he threw it in the fire.
Oh man, like with the tape in it?
With the tape in it, threw it in the fire, burned it up. It was terrible. So Warren was my buddy's name. Was just devastated.
I bet that was like $9.
Yeah, it was just awful. And that whole group of Twisted Sister, Quiet Riot, Rat. So Round and Round came out that year, which again, Rat, one of my favorite groups. And, those were some great songs on that album for sure. So
it's neat. Just in the bands of '84. So you had, like you said, you had Quiet Riot, who they were a little bit older, especially the lead singer. You had Twisted Sister, who had a whole different look and feel to them. You had Rat, which was more the polished LA kind of look, and the girls liked that a lot more.
Of course.
And you had Van Halen, which was just this awesome group with a guitar god.
Yeah.
He was doing keyboards.
Yeah.
Which made everybody kind of uncomfortable. But who was in that? But it was like 4 distinct sounds coming out of the same group. And now, of course, when you look at documentaries and they all talk about it's like there's like this fighting stuff.
I know, yes. They still hate each other.
Oh yeah, like Dee Snider, like the guys from we didn't have to do all that dressing up like this. Like, but you were in drag.
But you were doing it exactly.
And of course, Rat was great at doing what they were doing. They and Motley Crue had a whole different look to them.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
I know. The 80s hair bands.
Yeah, but they were great. They put out some great sounding music.
Yeah.
So all right, I'm gonna give one honorable mention before I go. This is not gonna make my top 5 list, but this I can't separate from the movie.
Okay.
This is one of those cheesy 80 movies. Do you remember Breakin'?
Of course.
So there was a song. This one went in the charts. It was "There's Nothing Stopping Us," which I think was like the title sequence.
That's
song.
right.
And I love that movie. That was like a VHS tape that I rented. Like my friend wore out
over and over.
I have no idea. I do have an idea. Just the idea of going and dancing, being able to do that. We had no rhythm.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do any of it.
And my friend got like a refrigerator box or something. His parents got a refrigerator or something delivered. He got the box. And we had this huge piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
We got there and we practiced the windmills and doing all the stuff. I mean, I could do some of it, but I had no rhythm whatsoever.
No. Breakin'. That was great. And then Breakin' 2.
The Electric Boogaloo.
The Electric Boogaloo, yeah. I even saw, I went to there was a tour that Breakin' went on, and it was the Fat Boys and Curtis Blow, and so they all went, and then they had in the middle like a boxing ring of people doing all of the dance battles. It was classic.
Yeah,
it was classic.
And so I love something that so many '80s movies centered around the idea of a dance battle.
That's right.
And now that's a superpower in Jumanji. Dance fighting. That's a skill for us.
I love it. That's great.
Good
choices.
Yeah, you too. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I can't believe we didn't have any duplication.
Not one. There's so many to choose from.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so that was a lot of fun. So how about you guys? Take a look at all the iconic songs from 1984. They populate all the list of 100 greatest songs. There's got to be 20, at least 20
Easy.
from '84. But anyway, let us know what's your favorite 5 songs from 1984 if you can pick them. Also, if there's anything you'd like to hear Steve and I talk about, we would love to know. We're looking for suggestions. Leave those comments. Leave the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. and hit the share button too. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Steve?
No, I think that's great. We do look forward to the next time we get to talk, discuss, whatever it is that you think we should be talking about. Let us know. We'd love to hear it. We have all sorts of things that we have in common and differences of opinions about things, and so we're excited to be able to discuss those. So thanks for tuning in.
All right. Thanks. We'll see you next time.
Bye.